Hello guys, it's me Odoamne, and the champion I'd like to talk about today is Gragas. Gragas is one of the biggest tanks in the game, and he's been one of the biggest lane bullies as well for the past couple of patches, and I think even on this patch he's okay. He lost a bit of power, but he's still pretty good pick, and he's one of the best blind picks in the game. I think he's just really good because he's an AP tank and he just stacks the triple Dorans, and that makes his laning phase a lot easier. He's just really good against pretty much even carries, even the cannon, who's the lane bully in the game. So about the early game, depending on the matchups you're playing against, you want to max either Q or W. Personally, I don't really like maxing W. There's only a small number of matchups that I would prefer maxing W over Q. But with Q max, it's just really good because you can poke. You just throw the Q at him and you poke, and group couple that synergizes with your passive. And every time you poke him, you will pretty much heal up, and it's hard for him to trade back into you because then you can just disengage with your E. What you want to do in the early game is just start Doran's ring, and as soon as you hit 800 gold, you just back in TP to lane, and you get another 2 Doran rings, so you will have a total of 3 Doran rings. So this pretty much sets up your opponent to match your base, else he will just lose laning phase a lot more, and he needs to spend pretty much the same amount of gold as you do, like 800 gold. Early on in laning phase, you want to poke as much as you can with your Q, but don't get You can start poking a lot with Q once you get triple Dorans, but before that you want to play a bit conservative. So you just want to farm up, and after you get triple Dorans, then you can start playing aggressive a lot because you'll just have unlimited mana, your pushing power is great with Q, and your gank assist is really good as well. For the mid game is just try and push and roam as much as you can, or you can try to abuse your laning phase and chunk enemy top laner and tower as much as you can. If enemy top laner is low, you can also just call for a dive. Else, I would suggest just roam to mid and try to put pressure as much as you can. Just pretty much just keep the lane pushed and just roam as much as you can. As for the late game, I think it goes about the same. You want to know your role in the team fight as well, because you're a tank, but you're not as big of a tank, say, as a Nautilus or even a Singed in a way. You just want to kind of like a backline threat. You don't want to trade tanks as much. You want to use your ulti. If you happen to trade tanks, you want to use it to just disrupt as much as you can. So try to hit it in the center of the enemy team. Just split them up as 5 so your team has more time to just damage everyone else. Or if you can dive the backline, you just use ulti to throw one of their carries into your team. The core item should be just the triple Dorans, followed by, if you're playing against an AD matchup, you would want to buy Ninja Tabby, because this makes it really hard for the enemy top laner to bully you, because you have so much sustain and you'll always be full mana and your pushing power is good, and Ninja Tabby just makes it really hard for them to harass you. Followed by Machine, Iceborne Gauntlet, and then Spirit Visage. But if you're playing against an AP champion, you should build one of the items that build out the Spectre Call. By like mid game, you would want to have either 3 Dorans, Ninja Tabby or Merc Thread, and one of the Spectre Call items and Iceborne Gauntlet. You don't really want Sunfire because you already have pushing power with your kit, so you don't really need it that much to push the waves. After that, you would want to get a Random Omen. You can even get the Gargoyle skin. It's pretty good for team fights, and a Thor mail. I think those are pretty much the best items right now. You can also try for a Warmogs if you're playing side lane a lot more. The item got buffed this patch and I think it's pretty good. The key matchups you should probably know are the ranged bully matchups, the tank matchups, and the bruiser matchups. Against all of these, I would recommend just maxing Q. Against ranged matchups, you want to get triple Dorans and then start harassing them with your Q. Before that, it's really hard to poke them. They will be stronger than you in the laning phase, so you just want to pick up farm as much as you can. Against the tanks, you're pretty strong. You should get E level 1 against tanks, most of them, and you just do auto attack in E and you proc their grasp and just run away as soon as they're about to hit the minions. At level 2, you should get Q against the melee matchups, and just your level 2 is just really good. After that, you just get W level 3 and then you max Q again. But against range matchups, I would just suggest pick up Q, E, W, and then just max Q again. But against tanks, you should look to play aggressive because your early game is way stronger than theirs. Even though you don't have triple Dorans, with 1 Doran's ring, your early game is still stronger than most tanks in the game. As for bruisers, kind of goes the same. It's easier than tanks. You should just get E, Q, W, Q, Q, and just rush Ninja Tabby after triple Doran, and it should be pretty easy to beat all the bruisers. For combos, is the most common one is E flash ultimate combo. You can do EW as well. You just do E flash. You cannot auto attack after you flash, and then you just do your ultimate instantly. Just be really careful not to use your W or use your attack with W after you E flash, because then he will just be able to flash away. That's pretty much the biggest combo Gragas has. I really like this champion. It's a really good blind pick. He scales as a good tank and he has decent damage for most of the game. He's a big lane bully, and I think right now with all the changes to say Galio and all the other champions, he's pretty balanced right now. He has a good place in the meta and I don't think he needs nerfs at all. It's just all the champions are pretty good now in the top lane, and I think this champion is just really good overall.